I am ranking every Manchester United player's season by putting them into a tier list based on their performances from this season. The one rule of this tier list is that I must end the video with at least one player in each category. Without further ado, let's jump right into the tier list. So let's start off this Man United tier list. We're going to be going from goalkeeper all the way down to strikers. So starting off in goal is Andre Onana. 51 games this season for Manchester United. And I'm going to put Onana, surprisingly, in the B category. Now, based on his Premier League performances, I feel like he has been very, very solid for United. Made a couple of mistakes, given away a couple of penalties. But I feel like Gary Neville says it best. United goalkeeping position is probably the toughest in the world. And he's come in and done alright in the Champions League. He made quite a few mistakes, which definitely cost us the entire tournament, getting us knocked out in the group stage. But I feel like after the AFCON tournament, he's come back level-headed, a bit more used to the pressure, the environment, and I feel like next season, hopefully he can kick on and be even better. Next up is Wan Bissaka. I've put Wan Bissaka in the C tier. 30 games and 3 assists this season. At the start of the season, he wasn't really in favour. I'm not sure if he was just not in favour or he had some injury issues. But I remember he came in a game against Liverpool at home and he played left back that day and he was unbelievable. Now, and then after that, he's been very consistent in the team, playing left back and right back for us. In my opinion, Wan Bissaka is not a Man United fullback, so I'm going to put Wan Bissaka in C tier, and I do respect his dedication this season. But overall, I feel like he's been very solid this season. Next up is Diego Dalot, one of the United's player of the season, if not the player of the season for Man United. 50 games, 3 goals, 5 assists for Dalot, and Dalot is going to be the first player to go in S tier for us. Dalot has been very consistent this season, played the joint most amount of games of any outfield player this season as well, and he's been so consistent for us, playing left back and right back like Wan Bissaka has as well. I feel like Dalot has just come on leaps and bounds as a player and as a leader on the pitch as well. I feel like he's a player that plays by example, good mates with Bruno Fernandes. I feel like seeing Bruno become captain this year is definitely giving him more drive to kick on his United career. And I feel like United have got a great player for years to come now with Dalot. Next up is Lindolf. Lindolf is going to go in the D tier. 28 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. Lindolf, once again, not a United quality player anymore. Did a job for us, centre-back, left-back as well, so got to respect him for playing out of position at left-back. But for me, Lindolf is just not it anymore, so he's going to go in the D tier. Next up is Harry Maguire. 31 games, 4 goals, 2 assists for Maguire. Maguire is going to go in the C tier for me. Now, past couple of seasons has not been great for Maguire at Manchester United, but this season I feel like he's been on a bit of a redemption arc, and his performances have actually shown that. He's actually been very, very good when he stepped into centre-back for us, and I feel like he's shown us a bit more quality than he has in previous campaigns. So for me, he's going to go in the C tier. Next up is going to be Rafael Varane. 82 games and 1 assist for him. He's going to go in the B tier. By far, well, definitely in our top 2 centre-backs at the club, and it's a shame that he's going to be going at the end of the year. Well, he's already gone now as I'm filming this, which is a real shame because I do think he's a top quality player. Lisandro Martinez is up next, and he's going to go in the C tier with 14 games and 1 assist. Now, he has not played barely at all this season. He's been riddled with injuries. He was going to go in D and E, but for the player of his quality, I couldn't put him that low, and especially his performance in the FA Cup final against Manchester City is probably one of the reasons why we did win the final, because we were so solid at the back, and he was a massive part of that. So for me, he's going to go in C tier. Next up is going to be Willy Kambwala. 10 games for him, and he's going to go also in the C tier. Now, he was a youngster that's come through the academy, come through a tough time at the club where we had no other centre-backs available, and I've got to be honest, he was very solid, so hopefully he does get a bit more playing time next season. And our last centre-back is going to be Johnny Evans. 30 games and 1 assist for Johnny Evans, and it was a beautiful assist as well to Bruno Fernandes for that volley goal against Burnley. He's going to go in B tier for me. Honestly, if you told Johnny Evans at the start of the season that he was going to play 30 games in the first team, he would not have believed you at all. And when he's been playing, he's not even been bad. Like, he's been very solid. For someone of his age and the pressure of coming into Manchester United's defence, he's been absolutely incredible. So hats off to Johnny Evans. Now we're on to the left back. Luke Shaw, 15 games, 1 assist. Gonna go in E tier for me. Just not been available all season. And when he does play, you know Luke Shaw's gonna be quality. That's why it's a big miss when he's been unavailable. But he's only played 15 games this season, so I can't put him any higher than E. Tyrell Malacia is going to go in E. Literally 0 games. He's not appeared in anything this season. God knows what's wrong with him. He was there for the FA Cup final, like watching on, and that's the first time we've seen him this season. So, no, it's the first time he's been seen this season. So it's very interesting that the club haven't really spoken about him at all when it comes to injury problems. So something must have gone on there, but no one's really sure what. Hopefully next season it's all sorted and he can actually play, because in this first season he was actually quite good. Competition for Luke Shaw. Next up in midfield is going to be Mason Mount. Big money signing this past summer and has not delivered at all. I know he's been another player that's been absolutely had his season ruined by injury. Only getting 20 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. He's going to go in the E tier for me. It's been a very disappointing season for Mason Mount, and I'm sure he will agree. Next up is Kobbie Mainoo. Now, Kobbie Mainoo, one of the shining lights of Manchester United season, bursting through the academy. Shame at the start of the season he was injured, because Ten Hag was planning to use it at the start in pre-season, but in pre-season he picked up an injury. Started to make his way in, I would say, probably in about December time, and he's been absolutely a mainstay in the team ever since. 32 games, 5 goals, 1 assist for him. Scoring in the FA Cup final to secure the win. Getting a last-minute winner against Wolves, scoring against Liverpool. This guy's been absolutely incredible this season. So definitely a player that United need to build their team around for the future. Next up is Christian Eriksen. 28 games, 1 goal, 3 assists for him. He's going to go in the E tier for me. He's just not got the legs to play anymore for me, Christian Eriksen. Even when he comes on, he looks tired. So I feel like it's time to move him on this summer. Scott McTominay, 43 games, 10 goals, 3 assists. He's going to go in the C tier for me. One thing about Scott McTominay, you can't discredit his work rate, his work ethic, and the fact that he knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. Getting 10 goals this season is very, very... For me, I don't really rate McTominay as a starter player, but off the bench, I don't mind him. I wouldn't even mind if you sold him on, to be honest. On the ball ability is not great at all for me. He has scored some massive goals for United this season, so I'm very grateful for that. Amrabat, I'm going to put him in the D tier. Playing 30 games this season. Not been the greatest, but in the past couple of weeks, that's definitely bumped him up from E tier to D tier because of his performances in the past couple of weeks have definitely improved. I'm not sure if United are going to make it a permanent signing, but it'd be very interesting to see if they do off the recent performances. Next up is going to be Casemiro. Now, he's going to be another player that goes in the D tier. 32 games, 5 goals, 3 assists. Now, I love Casemiro. I love him as a player, but I don't know if he's been riddled with injuries. The second half of the season has been absolutely abysmal for Casemiro. It's definitely ruined his reputation a little bit within the world of football. Even Jamie Carragher came out and said that he needs to move to Saudi Arabia after his recent performances for Manchester United. I know he's played centre-back for us quite a few games this season. Definitely not a position for him. His legs have seemed to have gone, which is a real shame because once again, I love Casemiro as a player. And last, the midfield position is going to be Bruno Fernandes. Another player that is going to go into the S tier. 48 games, 15 goals, 13 assists. Bruno Fernandes is everything that a Man United player should be. Works hard and got good quality. We can't say about the working hard for some players this season, which we'll get onto later. Bruno Fernandes has been absolutely unbelievable for Manchester United this season. Revitalised their season in many ways. I definitely reckon in the second half of the season he's performing back to his very best. So first half of the season was a bit shaky for near enough the entire team, but there's been some performances from Bruno this year that you thought, wow, this is why he is the captain of the club. This is why we should start building the team around him, because of his qualities. Next up is going to be Antony. Antony is going to go in the E tier for me. 38 games, 3 goals, 2 assists. For a player that we've paid 80 million for, the stats are just not good enough in the slightest. I would probably give Antony at least one more season. If he's not done anything next season, then definitely time to move him on for me. Ahmad, 12 games, 2 goals, 1 assist for Ahmad. I'm going to put Ahmad in the C tier. He scored a very vital goal against Liverpool in the FA Cup to knock us through into the semi-finals, which ultimately led us on to win the final. So without that goal, we wouldn't have got that trophy. Only been really getting game time in the past month or 2 months of the season for me, and it was hard to see why. With Antony's performances not being great, we couldn't understand why Ahmad wasn't getting more game time. But it seems like now Ten Hag has definitely got a bit more belief in Ahmad, and next season we should definitely see him a bit more. Next up is Garnacho with 50 games, 10 goals, 5 assists. Garnacho is going to go in A tier. This season, Garnacho has leveled up his game so much. Still things to be worked on, definitely, with his final ball. Garnacho is a frightening player. Every time he gets the ball, it's exciting. You don't know what he's going to do. He's unpredictable. Definitely one of the best players to watch in this United team to get excited for the future. Still only 19 years old as well, which is just mental to think. Scored the goal of the Premier League season as well with that bicycle kick against Everton. And hopefully next season he can kick on to do even better. Next up is the controversial Marcus Rashford. Now, Rashford is going to go in the D tier for me with 43 games, 8 goals and 5 assists. Now, his stats are actually not that bad compared to Garnacho's, but when I mentioned before about McTominay having really good work rate, Marcus Rashford has awful work rate. Now, this season, I don't know what's been up with Marcus Rashford, but especially in the first 6 months of the season, his tracking back was awful. It was like he didn't want to be on the pitch at all. I don't know if it was a lack of fitness, a lack of trying. No one's really too sure, but I'll be honest, as a United fan, and United fans around the world. Watching that is just absolutely unacceptable. And if he doesn't want to be at Manchester United anymore, that's fair enough. He's been a great servant, but maybe it's time to move him on next season. Or if he's going to buck up his ideas and wants to stay, he's going to have to work hard over the summer. He's been dropped by England. He's not going to the Euros, so he can definitely focus on himself this summer. And hopefully he comes back stronger than ever. Next up is Rasmus Hojlund. He's going to go in the C tier for me. Tempted to put him in the B because of his potential. I know he hasn't got much service this season, but me, he's going to go in the C tier. Not a bad place to be, the C tier, to be honest. We got some accompanied by some good players. 43 games, 16 goals, 2 assists for Rasmus Hojlund. He's had a very interesting season. He had a really bad start in the Premier League. Didn't really score for a lot of games. I think it was like 9 or 10 games. Scored a lot of goals in the Champions League. One of the top goal scorers in the Champions League, if I'm not mistaken, at the time when we went out of the competition. Had that good run of form in the Premier League, scoring, I think it was 7 and 7. And then got injured again. And then hasn't really found that form again. As a young striker, a lot of pressure on his shoulders. I feel like he can be very good for Man United. The foundations are there for him to be a good striker. Things just need to click into place for him. And hopefully that does next season. And last on the list is going to be Antony Martial. I'm going to put him in the E tier. 19 games, 2 goals, 1 assist for Antony Martial. Definitely a season to forget. I can't remember the last time he even played for Man United. I can't remember the last game he appeared in. Riddled by injuries once again. Martial has always had the talent, but never been able to execute it in many seasons because of injuries. That's ultimately led him to be leaving the club this summer on a free transfer. I don't know who he's going to sign with, but I wish him all the best of luck. I love Martial as a player. I feel like his potential was always there, but like I said, with injuries, just never got going, which is really, really unfortunate. So if we're going to look back at the tier list then, let's go through the tiers one by one. So in the E tier, we've got Luke Shaw, Malacia, Eriksen, and Mason Mount, and Martial. In the D tier, we've got Lindolf, Amrabat, Casemiro, Marcus Rashford. In the C tier, we've got Wan Bissaka, Maguire, Martinez, Kambwala, McTominay, Ahmad, and Hojlund. In the B tier, we've got Onana, Varane, Evans. In the A tier, we've got Garnacho. And in the S tier, we've got Dalot, Mainoo, and Bruno Fernandes. So if you have enjoyed the video, please drop a like. Let me know in the comments what you think of this tier list. Have I got the players in the right positions? Who would you move into different tiers? Let me know in the comments. But if you have enjoyed, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.